Good morning and welcome back. This is day 264 of our 365 days of Bible study. At the moment we're looking at the parables of Jesus, and today we come to Luke chapter 15, verses 11 to 32, the story of the prodigal son and his resentful brother. And Jesus said, "There was this man who had 2 sons. And the younger of them said to his father, 'Father, let me have the share of the property that is coming to me.' And he divided the living between them. And not many days afterwards, having gathered his things together, the younger son went away to a distant land, and there he wasted his wealth, living a senselessly ruinous life. But when he had spent it all up, a severe famine arose throughout that land, and he began to be in need. And he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that land, who sent him into his fields to feed the pigs. And he was longing to fill his belly with the husks that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, 'How many of my father's hired hands have more than enough bread, and I am perishing of hunger? I will get up and go to my father, and I'll say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in front of you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Take me on as one of your hired hands.' And he got up and set off towards his father. But when he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was moved with compassion, and ran and hugged him tightly and kissed him. And the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and in front of you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring out the best robe and get him dressed, and bring a ring for his hand and sandals for his feet, and bring the fattened calf for slaughter, and let's eat and be merry, because my son here was dead and is alive again. He was lost and has been found.' And they began to celebrate. And his elder son was in a field. And as he was coming up and drawing near to the house, he heard music and dancing, and he called over one of the lads and asked him what was going on. And he said to him, 'Your brother has come back, and your father has slaughtered the fattened calf, because he has got him back safe and sound.' But he was angry and was not willing to go in. So his father went out and spoke to him seriously. But he answered his father back, 'Look, I've served you for many years, and I never once disobeyed your orders. And you never gave to me even a kid so that I could have a party with my friends. But when this son of yours came home, who consumed all your life's work with harlots, you had the fattened calf slaughtered for him.' But he said to him, 'Son, you are with me all the time, and everything I own also belongs to you. But it was right that we should be glad and celebrate, because your brother here was dead and is alive again. He was lost and has been found.'" Well, we all think we know this story. It seems just like a simple story of a wayward lad who sees the error of his ways and comes back to apologize, and that makes it all right. His intended confession, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and in front of you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son," was used as an example of the kind of confession each of us ought to make, perhaps when preparing to receive communion the next day, or before making a sacramental confession in front of a priest. For many years after my own personal confirmation in my early teens, I too read through the list of sins in my communicant's manual every Saturday night, and told God that I was not worthy to be a child of God. But a closer examination of this parable actually teaches quite a different lesson. It's obviously an allegory, with the father in the story standing in for God, and the two sons standing for two different kinds of relationship with God. One Christian, the other Pharisaical. Look at how willingly the father lets the first, i.e. the Christian son, off the leash. He gives him the freedom he asks for without question. Without any constraints, this free individual can make what he likes of his life. And sadly, he makes a hash of it. But not as bad a hash as his Pharisaical brother thinks he has. He makes poor decisions and falls on bad times. He feels really sorry about this and comes to the conclusion that his dad's workers are better off than he is. And he sets off home to ask his dad for a job. The father, who represents God, not only knows the lad is coming home, he won't even allow him to finish his apology when he arrives, but he interrupts his confession and welcomes him as the son he is, unconditionally. Meanwhile, his stay-at-home brother, the one representing the Pharisees, whines pitifully about how unfair all this is. His dreadful brother is having a party thrown for him, but nobody ever gave the stay-at-home brother a party, not even a small one. He protests that he has always been good and never put a foot wrong, and stubbornly refuses to recognize the returning son as his brother or to rejoice at his return. We have known, since the days of St. Paul, that Christ came to the world to save sinners. We know we are sinners all. God has given each of us the inheritance of sufficient freedom that we can make of our lives what we will, and in doing so, reveal our character and our personal qualities. We should not fall into the Pharisees' trap of magnifying our own goodness and exaggerating the faults of others to make ourselves look good. God is not fooled by such behavior and really doesn't want to rub our noses in our faults. Simple honesty leads us to realize when we are making a mess of our lives, and his abundant forgiveness gives us every chance to put things right. Tomorrow, Jesus gives us another example to help us understand this simple point in the parable of the unjust steward, and I'll see you then.